guys, welcome back to my channel English in a Blink, and today I'm going to look at questions. Well, when it comes to questions in English, it can be a little tricky at times. So to start with, I want you to remember there are two kinds of questions in English. First is your yes and no questions, and the second are your WH questions. So what are your yes and no questions? If I ask you, do you like ice cream? You can just answer with a yes or no. I'm sure most of you will just say yes. Okay, so these questions, what you can just answer with just one word, are your yes and no questions. And WH questions are your what, when, why, how, all those ones. Okay, so without wasting time, let's go and have a look. Okay, to start with, how to form a yes and no question. So looking at our example sentence, it is a cloudy day. It is cloudy today. So what you have to do is to change this sentence into a question. All you have to do is simply move the verb to the beginning. All right, so what is the verb here? Is. And how are we going to make the question? Is it cloudy today? And again, like it says here, if the sentence has an auxiliary or modal verb, that's the one you need to move. Okay, so whatever is the verb, that's how you are going to move it. So again, more conversions. So when you say she is confused, move it. So you move it at the start and you say, is she confused? The boy is singing. Is the boy singing? All right, so you will bring your auxiliary or your verb to be at the start. He can dance. Okay, and then again, move your modal at the start and say, can he dance? Okay, so this is people how you make your yes and no questions with your inversion. As I've given you few examples here. So she's confused. Move your auxiliary, which is your is at the start, and is she confused? So your verb to be, it's going to come first, followed by your subject. Okay, so this is one way of making your questions. And what are these questions called as? Yes and no questions. Okay. So moving on with the next one, which is if the sentence has no auxiliary verb and the main verb isn't to be. So when you have no auxiliary and the main verb isn't your to be, then things are a little bit different. All you have to do is you'll need to put your do or does at the beginning of the question. And again, you have to be sure, what is the tense of the sentence. So if the tense is your past, then you add your did. Okay, with examples. So look at this one here. Nick plays the guitar. Now, as you can see, you just have the main verb, which is your plays. All right, and you don't have any auxiliaries here. So how would you make it? Does Nick play the guitar? Okay, so does Nick play the guitar? So you add your do, does, did, whatever it is at the start, and then you will say, does Nick play the guitar? And like I have written over here, notice the new form of to play to accommodate the new structure. So when you're saying Nick plays the guitar, or when you're making your question, does Nick play the guitar? Okay, so that's how you're going to make your question. And again, if you have your past tense, Nick played the guitar, then we are going to use our did. So did Nick play the guitar? Again, notice when you're using your did, the verb is going to be in infinitive form. Okay, so Nick played the guitar, that is your past. But when you're making your question in your past tense, so then did Nick play the guitar? So then the verb is going to be in the infinitive form. Nick and Rick play the guitar. Okay, so now two people are playing. So what do you have to do now? No does. Do Nick and Rick play the violin? Okay, now here I've just changed your guitar to violin. I don't know how and why, but again, you understand. Okay, so this is your guitar and not your violin. So the thing which I want you to notice is Nick plays the guitar. Does Nick play the guitar? But here we have two, all right? So plural, Nick and Rick play the guitar. Do they? Okay, so I do, they do, I do, you do, he, she, it does. Okay, so same thing here when you're making your question as well. So do they? So do Nick and Rick play the guitar? Okay, so this is one thing which you cannot miss. You have to keep in mind, what is it? What is the subject? So if it is like he, she, it, you have to make your question with your does. And if we, you, they do, so then you have to make your question with do. Okay. Similarly, when you're making your question with in your past tense, you will be using your did, but do not forget that the verb is going to be in the infinitive form when you're making your question. Okay. Moving on to the next one. So now how to form, oopsies, how to form a 5W question. You know, when you have your WH questions, all right, so how do you form them? So again, let's start with basic sentence. For these questions, we'll need to replace the part of sentence with a WH word. We'll usually need to invert the word order as well, but not always, okay? So looking at a basic sentence, so when you have like, you know, when you have to add like a WH word, you replace a part of a sentence with a WH word. And usually, okay, let's say we also invert the word order. So look at the sentence, May is playing football in the park. Now this is your sentence. So when you're asking about the subject, so who is the subject here? May. Okay, so when we are asking the question in regards to the subject, which is May here, forming a sentence is easy breezy. All right, so forming the question, it's very easy. You just replace the subject with WH word. And since May is a person, we are going to add who. Okay, so you understand? So May is playing football in the park. Now, like it says, if you want to ask a question about the subject, it's very easy. All you have to do is you replace who with the subject. So who is playing football in the park? Easy peasy. So when you're asking about the question is in regards to the subject, all you do is you replace your subject with who. Looking at the next one, let's say we wanted to ask about the object in this sentence. Then what we are going to do, we'll replace it with WH word. The object here is your football. Okay, so now what you do is like when you wanted to ask about the subject, you replace your subject with who. Now, if you want to ask about the object, and the object here is your football. So what are you going to do? Football, as it is a thing. So then you're going to add the WH word, what. So May is playing what in the park? Now, again, you need to restructure the sentence, okay? And how are you going to make it? So what is May playing in the park? Now you understand. So you first of all, if you are thinking how to make a question, so look at the sentence and then you replace what with the object. May is playing what in the park? And now you have to, like I said, restructure. So what is May playing in the park? So you bring your what at the start. Okay, so what, and then what is May playing in the park? Okay, so now here, like I've written, notice how the subject also has to get moved in between the auxiliary verb and the main verb for this type of sentence. Okay, so I'm sure you've noticed that when you are restructuring it, so you have to move. All right, so the subject also has to get moved. Now this is your subject. It is moved, as you can see, between what? It has been moved between auxiliary, okay, and the main verb. So then the subject comes in between, okay? So this is something which you have to notice and you have to keep it in your mind when you're making this question. Now, again, the last one here is we can also use where to ask about the location. So we asked about the subject. We also asked about the object. Now we can ask about the location, and the location here is the park. So what are we going to do? We are going to replace in the park with where, because that's what the location is. Then move where to the beginning of the sentence. So if you have to, so the sentence is this one, May is playing football in the park. All right, so then like it says, we can replace in the park with where. So May is playing football where. All right, this is what you have to do. And then you have to replace where with your subject, which is May. So then this question becomes, where is May playing football? Okay, so that's how you're going to make your question when you're going to be asking about the place. Okay, so where is the question word when you're talking about place? And in your main sentence which we were looking at, you replace your in the park with where. So May is playing football where, and then you bring your where at the start. Okay, so where, replace it with May. Where is, and now who is the subject? Where is May playing football? Okay, so I hope you've understood, like, how are you going to be making your who, what, and where. Okay, so that brings us to the end of this lesson, and I'm sure you know how to form your questions now. And if you like the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Until we meet next time, bye for now.